Fucking hell, boys. If you're thinking about following my trajectory into the mainstream, think again.
You're still listening. This is our final transmission.
Oh, we're here. It's the Final Transmission podcast. It's Sam Russo and Jamie Carruthers bringing you one horror movie a week from the dawn of time till the end of time. Jamie, how are you this evening?
I'm fantastic, mate. How are you?
Superb. Just drilling the vein over here, buddy. Hanging tough.
Yeah. If you want to know more about the video Drilling the Vein, part number 3, I think maybe an hour into our pre-show chat, we started talking about that. Before that, it was Sting. It was me being mad at stuff. And you can hear all of that over at patreon.com for just $5 a month. Patreon.com/Final Transmission. Do that, please. Look after us.
We just talk to each other a lot, don't we?
We do, yeah.
That hour felt like mere seconds, mere moments.
We heard all about Sam's new guitar.
Yep.
If you want to watch me react to a photo of it, but not see the photo of it, you can do that over at patreon.com/Final Transmission.
And it's a guitar I'm not telling anyone about, so that's money well spent. So anyway, speaking of things that we're not telling anyone about, do you want to tell us about this film?
Well, so this is Miggy's final pick.
It's the last entry in our dear sweet friend Miguel Chen's curated Miggy Month feature on the Final Transmission podcast. Here we are with our last hurrah.
And that is Evil Ed from 1995 or 7, depending on whether you go by when it was completed or when it was released.
Yeah, filming commenced in 1983, finally released in 1997.
Directed by Anders, we're saying Jacobson? We're saying Jakobsen?
I'm saying Jakobsen.
Yeah. It stars a bunch of people who I've never seen before and will never see again. People that are in media in Sweden, where this film is from. This was a video shop classic. I don't know if you remember it from the video shop.
No, not even remotely. I wasn't even aware that this movie existed until Miggy told me about it in the front of the van on a drive through what's that? The Dharma Pass? No, what's it called? Where everyone fucking died and got eaten by each other?
What's his name?
Donner Pass, not the Dharma.
Yeah.
I mean Dharma, sure. The Donner Pass. So yeah, this wasn't a movie that was ever on my radar growing up at all.
Interesting. So do you want to hear some Jamie lore that involves the movie Evil Ed?
Stuff me to the hilt with Jamie's lore.
So I think this might have been the first movie that I ever wrote a review about on the internet.
Whoa. For whomst?
I remember going to my friend Bav's house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember where he lived, but it was somewhere weird. And we watched this. It must have been 1999. And then we watched a couple of other horror movies. And then we were like, we'll start a horror movie review website. And so I designed that horror movie review website on GeoCities on his parents' computer.
Right.
It was called Bav and Jamie's Horror Hole.
Horror Hole.
Yeah, I don't know really what that.
I love it. That's brilliant.
And I'm pretty sure that this was pretty sure this was the first movie I ever wrote a review of.
This is ground zero for your horror media empire.
It's not an empire, but it is some words on a computer.
That's a lifelong journey, though. How old were you?
15, I think.
There you go. This is day one of Jamie's journey into the dark heart of horror content. It all started in his hole.
Yeah, in the horror hole.
I mean, that's superb. Can you remember any design elements of this particular website that might stand out to our listeners?
No. Black background, green text. I'm pretty sure that was all of it.
Excellent. Unreadable.
Yeah.
So what compelled you? But I mean, you'd seen a lot of horror movies up until that point. You had a lot of opinions on a lot of things. What compelled you at this specific cultural flashpoint to pen your critique and share it with the masses on the World Wide Web?
I think I had just recently discovered GeoCities and how easy it was to make websites with GeoCities. And so the combination of like being at Bav's house, who was like a fairly new friend at the time. I think like we'd met a couple of times and he was like, why don't you come to wherever I live and we'll hang out? I also remember that before we'd watched it, I think he hadn't watched it either. And he was like, it's called Evil Ed, or maybe it's Eviled.
I mean, there is, in some versions of this, not much of a space between evil and Ed.
Yeah.
It's a reasonable doubt. What's Bav up to now?
I haven't seen him in maybe 10 years, but I think he's probably doing fine.
Bav, if you're listening, give us a call. Love to have you on the pod.
So inspired by that, I spent a big chunk of my day developing a GeoCities style website for us.
And it looks superb.
So I'll drop the address to that in the show notes if you want to go look at the GeoCities style website that I've made for us, for the Final Transmission podcast.
So, not your first rodeo critiquing the movie Evil Ed. What would I wonder how 15-year-old Jamie's review would compare to 2026's Age Undisclosed Jamie's review. Do you have access to that original review?
I don't have access to it. I did look, so I was in the Wayback Machine trying to find the GIFs that I would need in order to recreate or to create a GeoCities looking website.
Yeah.
And while I was there, I did have a look to see if it was still there. And unfortunately, it was not captured by the Wayback Machine.
You're talking about something like I know what it is. What's the Wayback Machine?
It's a thing that's run by archive.org that allows you to search the old internet.
Oh, cool.
So you hadn't seen Evil Ed, not Eviled before?
No, I just didn't even know this existed. I had no frame of reference whatsoever going in. I didn't look it up in advance. Didn't want to, spoil the dessert. So I just went in hard and heavy.
I feel like that when it came out, there was a big push in at least the video shops near where I was.
That's crazy to me. 95, I lived in the video shop and I have fucking no memory of this whatsoever. I mean, I was 10, so...
It was 97 when it came out.
Oh, okay. Just not on my radar. Yeah. And maybe it didn't last into the period of time when I was really looking at horror a good few years later, because it doesn't feel like a movie that really stood the test of time in terms of video shop shelf life.
I think it maybe did.
Wow. Fuck me. Okay, fair enough. Maybe in Wales.
I think that like it had, and I would say undeserved, but it had like quite a lot of appeal.
Must have had strong distro to have made it that far.
Yeah, because they put a load of money in the back end of it.
Well, there's an Arrow version, obviously.
Yeah. Which is the version that I watched today, the Arrow Blue.
Nice. And yeah, it's entirely possible. It just my sphere of horror was very, very small, like a marble compared to your basketball. And it's entirely possible. It just wasn't something that was on my radar for some reason.
It's also possible that like, because we were at the whim of the person that ran the video shop.
Absolutely. And mine was for many, 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 many years. My only video shop was totally independent until Choices came to town. It was a fully independent TVL All-Star video shout out. And yeah, maybe they loved slashers in there. They loved slashers, Creech Feech stuff, and a lot of house-esque. They were just really good at knowing their audience, and they knew that stuff with good covers would sell, would fly off the shelves. And I don't think Evil Ed really fit a lot of that. It was definitely the sense of humor of a couple of people that worked at that shop. But yeah, maybe it just didn't cut the mustard for the Haverhill horror viewing crowd.
Evil Ed had a great VHS cover.
Which one are you talking about? The split head?
The VHS that I remember seeing was a split head, yeah.
I do recognize the tagline, it's a no-brainer, but I think just because I've come to be aware of the movie and looked up a lot of the marketing, looked up a lot of the distro stuff, and that seems to be pretty central to its big push. But yeah, it's just not a movie I fucking knew existed. So the year's 95. It's in your video shop. You've got your GeoCities website.
97.
What are you doing with all that?
It was 97 when it came out.
Yeah.
and it was 99 when I first saw it.
Nice.
And I mean, this film now, it will always hold a fairly special place in my heart,
Hmm.
right? It's not great. They set their stall out quite quickly. In fact, why don't we do a quick synopsis so we can get into it properly after the break? How about that?
Yes.
Okay, so stuffy, uptight, highbrow film editor is redeployed by the film company that he works for to go work in the splatter and gore department,
Hmm.
where he has to edit 8 movies that are all coming out simultaneously for some reason. The Loose Limbs series,
Yep.
and has driven completely insane by having to watch that much sex and violence that he ends up losing his shit completely and going on some sort of killing spree.
Yeah. That is literally as close to a plot as you're going to get in the movie Evil Ed.
Yeah. It's an homage, a homage to Evil Dead and Sam Raimi specifically,
Hmm.
and is very referential and deferential, both of those things, to Sam Raimi and his style of filmmaking. But we talked about like democratizing filmmaking quite recently. I think was it in our Ice Cream Man episode where we talked about like how video cameras came out and they made it so people could make like the Blair Witch Project, and people weren't doing that beforehand.
Sure.
But like Sam Raimi came out and was like any provincial weirdo with a great idea, and the chutzpah can go out and make what might be the greatest movie ever made at that point, at least to some people. So everybody felt empowered to do so. The thing that people didn't learn from Sam Raimi is that like you need to fucking hone that shit down. You need to whittle it to its most necessary parts. Otherwise, what you've got is a really boring movie.
The tricky thing there is that I think a lot of people assumed because Sam Raimi had done it that anyone could do it.
Yeah.
It's the same with a lot of art forms where something looks maybe effortless or is made to look
Mm,
simple by virtue of maybe not being lofty or overly intelligent or overly
yeah.
ambitious, because the fucking strings are a little bit visible every now and then. People assume that therefore it's easy, or it's punk or whatever. And the reality of it is that Sam Raimi is quite literally a genius and has pulled off a 1 in a billion movie there. Well, two
Yeah.
in a billion, really, maybe 3. But
Definitely
point
not
being,
free.
like, a lot of people look at that and go, "It looks a bit rough. I could do that." And then you get millions of terrible movies and a few good ones that become derivative. Like, not everyone can be Sam Raimi. Not everyone can be the Ramones.
Yeah.
But a lot of people fucking think they can. A lot of people try, and it's a part of the democratization process of that kind of artistry is people's assumption that they can do it, and for better or for worse. Sometimes you get great results, sometimes you get kind of wacky, interesting results, and sometimes you get garbage. But yeah, there's only one fucking Sam Raimi.
And sometimes not even Sam Raimi can do it. I don't know if you've seen Crime Wave, but that movie has every single thing thrown into it, and it suffers as a result. And like
Mm,
Evil Dead specifically, maybe more so Evil Dead 2, which this film is also very referential to, but
mhm.
like is they're so lean. There's like minimal fat on those movies.
Because they're
And
refined and they're honed through a process of making lots of short movies, lots of
yeah,
mini projects, and a core group of people kind of really sharpening their axe and really getting down to an intentionality of filmmaking that isn't just let's try everything.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, did also like if I was a filmmaker of the caliber of Sam Raimi,
mm,
I would be editing in my script. Like I'd be like,
right.
okay, what can I film? What can't I film? Because I only want to film the stuff that's going to make it in.
Mm.
And the biggest issue here, before we get into spoilers after the break, but the biggest issue here is that, like, ironically, they needed a better editor.
Well, yeah, they needed a fucking plan. Also, there's no
Yeah.
plan here, and there's no yeah, there's some editing difficulties, which again, for a movie about an editor, is hysterical.
There are scenes or shots or moments that linger for so long, and you're just like, why is that still happening? Like, we can just cut that out and the movie won't be affected. And the issue is the writer, producer, director is editing.
Yeah.
And
It's not.
therefore, like, he's just too close to it. And it's like, well, I shot that, so why wouldn't I put it in the movie?
Yeah, it doesn't have any of the quintessential hallmarks of Swedish cinema for a Swedish movie. It lacks intention, precision of edit, and polish.
Yeah.
Or at least like something in the final product that feels deliberate, which is strange for where it comes from. And I don't want to do my sum up before we've even talked about the movie, but that's kind of a crucial aspect of the viewing experience. I think maybe this movie has landed with an audience for whom watching movies is like a background exercise to other activities, and
Yeah.
that's absolutely fine. Obviously, all different kinds of movies serve all different kinds of purposes, but I hope it's not what I sort of cynically think it might be, which is an attempt to recreate the magic of a movie like Evil Dead. I hope it's more of a, like you said, an homage, more of a amateurish tribute, and not trying to actually, be as good as Evil Dead, because by those measures, one is a pretty decent success and one is a fucking dismal failure.
Yeah. Well, I would, if I was being whatever the opposite of generous is.
Miserly,
Yeah.
Scrooge-like.
If I was being tight-fisted, I would say that it's possible that this movie is a calculated attempt to shoehorn a person or a group of people into the mainstream by trying to follow the same trajectory that Sam Russo, that's you, Sam Raimi.
Fucking hell, boys. If you're thinking about following my trajectory into the mainstream, think again.
Yeah, let's just put Y and V. But yeah, so I think if they're trying to follow that trajectory from Evil Dead to the mainstream, like, because it's shot really well, and they do loads of different things to show how they can shoot different things in different styles. The effects, I mean, it's no surprise that the effects person that like led on the effects, Goran Lundström, went on to be the most successful person involved in the movie.
Sure.
But yeah, that would be my cynical take, is that, potentially they were trying to not only ape Evil Dead as a movie, but ape Evil Dead as a springboard into mainstream-ish filmmaking. Like in 95, he was only just off Darkman or whatever. So like,
Sure.
he's not Spider-Man Raimi yet.
Yeah.
But he's still, he's working with Liam Neeson. So yeah, that's my ungenerous take.
I won't give you my ungenerous take because it feels like I'm undercutting you. I am interested to dig into spoilers a little bit here. It's almost impossible to spoil this film because the plot tells you everything that happens. But it is a really interesting nugget of mid to late 90s, just bizarre horror.
Yeah. When I'm being generous, just to counteract my ungenerous take from a moment ago, it definitely seems like they're having a fucking great time making it. Like, it doesn't feel like a cynical watch.
Yeah, don't know.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's take this break, Sam. We'll come back and we'll get into some spoilers.
Let's have a break.
Let's have a break.
Whoa, shit. I guess that's why they call it Phantom Power.
I'm back, Sam. Are you back, Sam?
Yes, I'm back and I'm ready and I'm here.
Are you ready to talk a little bit about the wonderful sponsor of this podcast, Red Scare Industries?
This podcast brought to you by Jackson Guitars. Red Scare Industries, hi and welcome to heck. if you go to redscare.net, you're going to find a lot of good records and a lot of great bands that you might not have heard before. So you should dig deep into that catalog. You'll find
Yeah.
tour dates, you'll find merchandise, you'll find all kinds of fun crap. Follow them at Red Scare Industries on Instagram and just dig deep into the Red Scare lore. Join the Discord. Enjoy life.
Enjoy life. Redscare.net.
Not a GeoCities website, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
not far off.
Okay, Sam, tell us what you really think.
God, I'm just so confused by this film. I don't dislike it. I see what it's doing. I tip my hat to the whole deal, but I just can't get a foothold in where and on what level I'm supposed to enjoy it. I know that it's supposed to be silly. It's supposed to be, like you said, referential, deferential, erotic, erratic. It's supposed to do all of the above. But it, for me, tonally, just doesn't quite find its groove. It's always got this feeling that it's very thrown together, which is why I think it's a bit disrespectful to compare it to the movie making process of someone like Sam Raimi, who's if there are elements of chaos in his process, they're still filtered through the lens of serious artistic integrity and intentionality. Whereas this just feels like a best of the bad pile of shit that they shot. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It just has this ultimate feeling to it of being incredibly disjointed. And I think if you're watching it like with a ton of beers and maybe it's on in the background and you're partying, or it's just totally like brain dead, mind numbing type entertainment, then yeah, sure, fine. But it's also, if you're making a movie that's supposed to essentially be a tribute to a bunch of different horror movies, and there are a ton of movies leaping out of this film that it's pointing to, then I just think maybe do it better. I don't know. Sounds mean. Also, there's obviously like a moral message going on here that's kind of hard to track. The performances are perfect for the film, I think, but they're really hard to swallow. Like some of these people are just difficult to watch on screen, and there's a real big sideways pill to swallow in the main performance. So I think it's a tough movie to watch. The enjoyment on it is a little bit lost on me, but I totally see what it's doing. I'm really curious to know, because your take on it is much more generous. You're like, your Scroogey take is more generous than my generous take. So what am I missing? Where am I fucking up?
Well, I don't know where you're fucking up, because I think like the thing, I don't disagree with anything that you said, really. Like, it doesn't hang together. It was made over a period of many years where they were building it and they were sort of refining it as they went.
Yeah.
Rather than like having a coherent vision. And like even like after it was so called finished and then they tried to sell it, people were like, yeah, we don't like the ending, so here's some money and go shoot this entire hospital sequence. So like there's no coherent vision here. And like the Raimi stuff is all, this is how Sam Raimi would have shot this scene. So we'll do that.
Yeah. That's part of what doesn't work for me is it's a bit of a nasty movie, right? Deliberately.
Yeah. It's a video nasty, you might say.
Yeah, quite literally a video nasty. But Evil Dead isn't a really nasty movie. It's quite a romantic, whimsical, silly at times, obviously quite graphic, and it's a movie about evil, so it has to have this really dark heart to it. But this just feels like the people who really like that movie tried to make a movie but kind of missed the point and missed the entire vibe. And I know it's not supposed to be recreating anything about Evil Dead, really. It's supposed to be just doffing deeply its cap. And there's a lot of other movies that are referenced. But it's too nasty and too graphic to really feel like it has a place in that universe or in that sort of area, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just kind of a bummer to watch.
Yeah. I know what you mean. If you already listeners want to watch a film that is very specifically trying to not remake, that's not the word, but like a very on the nose homage to Evil Dead 2 specifically, I would definitely recommend watching Frostbiter Wrath of the Wendigo, which I watched last week, and it is very pointedly an homage to Evil Dead 2, but made in 1988. It didn't get released until 1995 also, maybe 94, by Troma. It wasn't made by Troma, but it was they released it. And it was a guy that would go on to make a bunch of other movies, but like that was his first movie. And it doesn't ever feel there's no cynical take in Frostbite or Wrath of the Wendigo. It just feels like a bunch of people being like, "Oh hey, Sam Raimi made this movie, and I like it, so I want to do that."
Yeah.
In a way that it sort of feels like a cover version rather than like a ploy to achieve the same success.
Bit of
And he did,
fanfic.
yeah. There are two different songs about beans that play on the soundtrack, and one of them is a spoof of a Prince song.
Fuck's sake. For the listeners, Jamie has not stopped talking about this film. For the record.
It was fucking great. I had a really,
Yeah.
really good time. Yeah.
So check it out. Yep. And again, I'm not saying like this movie fails because it doesn't copy Evil Dead well enough. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, for my personal taste, it is a pretty grisly movie. Obviously, we're watching a movie about a guy who's kind of forced to edit a bunch of really graphic horror movies into being slightly more palatable. So by that process, we see kind of both versions. So there's a
Yeah.
take on censorship being made here, which is kind
That's
of
the
fun and kind
funniest
of
joke of the movie, I thought,
what?
when it shows the killer hacking the woman up in the car park or whatever, and like headbutting her wound and all that stuff. I thought was really funny. And then we see the edited version, it's her being like hello, and then it cuts to him just screaming with blood all over him. Like that's
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. But that's the thing, right? So there's moments like that that really hit. Like that's genuinely funny, a good setup, a good payoff. You're willing to sit through the discomfort of the pretty gross uncut version of that in order for the gag to land. And I
yeah,
think there's a lot of moments that try and kind of capture that same rhythm throughout the movie that kind of miss because they're just too uh I hate myself saying this, but they're just a bit too crass with no real value, you know? Because the movie
yeah,
doesn't have a plot, so you don't have that to lean on. There's no vehicle through which that bullshit has an anchor. So,
yeah,
that's not very good filmmaking in my opinion, but the humor is pretty spot on for the most part. I do think maybe they just get a bit carried away at times.
yeah. How do you feel about the dubbing?
Mixed feelings again. Like my overriding feeling about this movie is I'm confused. Well, like, so tell me about the dubbing, Jamie, so I know how to feel.
Well, I
Like
mean,
it's English, dubbed in English, right?
it's English spoken by people that don't have English accents, dubbed
Yeah.
by different Swedish people who can do better American accents.
I just think it might be better with the original accents. Like,
I think so too, but like I also quite I don't, maybe they lost the sound. I don't know, but
oh yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. I thought you might know for real that there was a specific reason they did it. It's like stylistically, I do sometimes really enjoy dubbing because it
yeah,
adds a comedic edge. It adds like a fun sense of kind of there's a disconnect between the sound and the movie that's always kind
yeah.
of enjoyable texturally. But this isn't one of those movies, like for me.
It starts off like that in
Yeah,
that opening scene where the previous editor is going crazy, and the Sam Campbell, which I generally hate that in movies, but I give it a pass here for some reason. But like,
yeah, yeah.
and when he for his first bit, and he shows up, and he's like, "You maggot piece of shit." It's just like that's genuinely funny because it's like you don't realize that it's going to be like dubbed in that silly way.
Yeah, and some of the voices are good. Like in a
Yeah,
vacuum, these are good, fairly good, voice acting performances. But there's always just that element of disconnect between the fairly earnest vocal performers and what we're seeing on screen that again just adds another slight layer of tough to swallow about the
yeah.
whole production.
But there's also like there are people that are giving fairly decent voice performances, voice acting performances, and there are some people that are just sort of having a silly daft time, like
yeah,
the army sergeant guy.
Yeah, and that's poor direction. Unfortunately, that's not
Yeah,
a unified vision for all the performances in the movie because it is disjointed. It is shot over a period of many, many years, and I think if you shoot a movie over a period of many years, your artistic vision, no matter how much you try and hone and fine tune it, is going to waver to
yeah,
your whims. There's going to be various periods in that movie making process where you want to achieve slightly different things, and what that makes for in Evil Ed, I think, is a fun, tribute led, eclectic movie that goes through a whole ton of funny little set pieces and a lot of different action moments. There's a ton of different things that happen in this movie, even though there's no real. You can have no real interest in the outcome based on the action. There's nothing happening in this movie really,
Yeah.
but it does pull together this comic strip. Like those comics where sometimes there's probably a word for this. You'll know better than me, but like there's different styles throughout the comic, and it just
Oh
sort of
yeah.
goes seamlessly through different art styles and almost different dialogue styles. It feels like that. It feels very comic book. And I think that's a good thing. I don't know. I'm still just a little bit confused by the vision, I guess. Like, what's the fucking point? Is my main question.
Well, like I think it's meant to be a satire, right? And it's satirizing both ends of it. I mean, it's quite sort of loving towards the people that make horror movies, and not so nice towards the censors, or the idea of like censorship.
Yeah, obviously takes a bit of a shot at the industry. Sam
Yeah.
Campbell isn't a likable character at all, right?
Is that
Or
what
is
you
he
think?
supposed to be? I don't know.
No, he's definitely not supposed to be like him.
Okay, good. Just checking. Again, I don't really know who I'm supposed to like in this movie.
You're supposed to
The
like
main
Nick.
character is so utterly like Ed, the titular Ed, pretty devoid of substance and charisma. So I don't really know where I'm supposed to land with him. Are we supposed to like him? Are we supposed to want him to like get all fucked up and die? Like, what's the audience supposed to think of this guy?
I don't really know what Ed's deal is, because he's you're right, he's not really a character. He's just a collection of limbs that does stuff.
Yeah.
Like I think the nearest thing the movie wants to have to a hero is Nick.
Mm.
But like when we're introduced to him, he's not like cool or nice either. I mean, he's
No.
meant to be the audience insert character. He likes to watch horror movies and doesn't really like doing his job.
Yeah.
So, I
It's
mean,
all of us.
some people might find that relatable. I wouldn't, obviously.
Yeah, Per Lufberg. What was your inspiration for that character? Definitely not our entire generation.
But like, I think it's quite sort of reverential to the side of the genre that it's sort of mocking.
Right.
And like the extremity of it, and the silliness of that sort of extremity. There is a scene that they talk about where someone's ripped by a beaver and shot in the head with a bazooka.
The being shot in the head with a bazooka part of that is fucking hysterical to me. Like,
Yeah.
fuck, just the idea of being shot with a bazooka. Fun. Like, bazookas are funny, full stop.
Yeah.
Getting shot with a bazooka, hilarious. Getting shot in the head with a bazooka is quite possibly the funniest thing on the planet. It's so good.
There's a chicken, like a takeaway, like a garbage takeaway in Liverpool that's called Chicken Bazooka. And I.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's too much. Chicken bazooka. Oh, that's incredible. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. I mean, is it good?
No.
But
you go there anyway. It's Chicken Bazooka. What are you going to do? Not
fire.
I wish they would fire.
Down my throat with it.
Yeah.
Fucking unbelievable. That's incredible. And yeah, so like, there's aspects of the film there where the comedy is so pitch perfect, it's laugh out loud funny. And then there's other parts that maybe are just a bit lost in translation.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a really interesting thing that happens in, and again, I don't want to generalize the whole of mainland Europe, but like Scandinavian countries in particular, and I'd extend this down to Germany, and then in a really completely perverted and even weirder way, Italy. There's a strange humor translation.
I don't want to generalize all of Europe, but basically everywhere except France and Italy. France and Spain.
I'm trying to put together like there is like Britain has a very identifiable sense of humor at its core, right? You can boil down the great British sense of humor into some really key elements, and they don't translate particularly well into parts of Europe, particularly Scandinavia, definitely Italy, and some other areas in Europe, whereas it does translate quite well to a lot of aspects of the American continent, for example. And it's not just a shared language thing. There's huge cultural differences that underpin our texture and our humor and where they sometimes grind. And it's really interesting to see a Swedish movie be almost American in its extremism of its humor and
Yeah.
the graphic nature of its humor, but not really land for an English audience. It's so bizarre. I can't place what is wrong with it.
Well, I can't. I don't know specifically what is wrong with it, but I understand that like trying to filter that sense of humor through someone that isn't really, they're not American, they're not British. They might have grown up with British and or American movies, let's say, and that was the thing that has like inspired this. But like ultimately, it's still all filtered through this Swedish, Danish, whatever sensibility, Scandinavian sensibility.
Mm.
So like, and some of them work through sheer force of will, and some of them don't work because they're trying to do something funny that they have seen on TV. Do you know what I mean? It's not, they're not.
Yeah, feels patronizing to phrase it like that, doesn't it? And I don't think it's necessarily
Mm,
that one sense of humor is in any way superior to another at all. It's just strange to see such an American take on horror humor from a Scandinavian movie. And it's
yeah,
not that it doesn't land because it's done poorly. It's just a really interesting version of that humor. And it's through many, like you just said, it's filtered through a lot of different lenses. And it's almost like a kaleidoscopic humor experience,
yeah,
but tied with some incredibly graphic gore, some crazy and pretty effective practical effects, some really stupid and really funny dialogue, and just this mixture of atmospheres, vibes, styles, everything. And that just kind of feels a little bit to someone like me who's kind of always looking for a plot anchor, unfortunately, like you're just being dropped in the mixer and spun round.
yeah,
Um, but once you can kind of get into that rhythm, if you can treat it more like a panel based method of storytelling, like a comic book, you can really lean into and enjoy this movie because you don't care what the outcome is. You're just waiting for what crazy shit comes next. I was a bit worried around the sort of 40-minute mark that it was just going to be like an anthology movie of graphic, movie scenes turned into more mild movie scenes, and we just watch Ed go insane, he'd end up in the loony bin. And that got a bit predictable, and the rhythm got to be a bit of a grind for me. But it does change pace quite nicely around the hour mark, and while it feels incredibly long, there's really rewarding moments, I think.
I wrote at about 32, 33 minutes. There's a real lull happening here.
Yeah. And
Like
I can't believe it's 1 hour 33 long. It took me a really long time to watch this movie.
so I watched the Arrow like uncut version. So it was
Oh,
1 hour. That was 1 hour 39.
wow. Okay. I might have watched the same one.
Did it have like the Ingrid the Bergman section? The
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was yeah.
The weird little black and white section as well.
Which I thought that's some of the best looking stuff in the movie.
Looks good. Don't understand it. Looks cool.
Well, it's to show that that's the sort of movies that Ed would normally be working on.
So that's Ed's. Oh, so Ed's day job is like he's far more highbrow. He works on more
Yeah.
artsy movies, right? I get you. Again, like I like the idea of this movie that we've got this guy who works in a totally different area of the business, and there's this like dungeon sewer kind of part of the biz where you edit,
Yeah.
complete trash, and you get to go to this weird little secluded house and slowly go. And they know that he's going to go insane because the previous guy did. It's quite a cool premise.
Yeah. I guess did they put him in the house because last time the guy was in the building?
Possibly, yeah. The big cleanup. He
Yeah.
literally ate a grenade, which again is brilliant.
Yeah.
All of the like artillery based violence in this movie is superb.
My major issue with this movie is that there's so long between stuff happening and
Mm,
there are no real characters. So it doesn't, no, there's no character building stuff because like they'll build a bit of character in exposition. The phone will ring. Oh, hello, Barbara. You coming to your daughter's birthday party or
of course,
whatever?
it's Barbara, by the way. But yeah,
Well, yeah, obviously.
yeah,
So we get like 20 minutes of like 25 minutes of like roller coaster going up. And then instead of it being like, here is an hour of freewheeling, whirly-gigging, upside down, all around roller coaster fun, you go up and then you just go flat for another 40 minutes. And
yeah.
then you go down. And that's the real issue here. This movie could be 80 minutes long and fantastic. and you would know exactly the same things about the characters that we know from the 1 hour 40-minute version of it.
Yeah, it's almost wasteful to even try and develop these characters given what you put them through and what the ultimate result of the movie is. You just
Yeah.
don't need to know anything about Ed beyond that he's a pretty buttoned up, job's worth kind of guy.
Yeah.
So just send him straight into the fray. His descent into madness is gradual, predictable, and ultimately rewarding. I mean, I think starting a movie with a guy eating a grenade and ending a movie with a guy getting his head blown off with a shotgun is exactly the way this movie should go, and that's
Yeah.
great. Um, but yeah, I would fucking would preferred to have seen a bit of. I never say this, but I would have preferred some nip and tuck in the character development in order to see maybe even more explosive gore or a more rapid decline into editing insanity. Also, it's not fun watching a guy go mad in an editing suite. There's nothing. It's too inside a baseball. There's nothing fun about watching a guy. Oh no, he's gone nuts. He's cutting up all the film. Like, who cares? Get out there and start pillaging.
Yeah. I guess that's why they moved the finale to the hospital.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, like, I thought this movie was ending when Ed got committed, and then I made the mistake of looking at how much was left, and I was like, "Fuck me, there's still half an hour to go, or like 20 minutes at least to go."
Yeah.
And I actually enjoyed that revelation because I thought, right, it's got to get faster here, right? It's got to go to a bit of a clip.
It
Again,
does.
95, it feels like a slow movie for the mid 90s.
If you like, I know that you don't like Brain Dead or Dead Alive. Like I know you don't like that. But
Yeah,
that's a movie that's doing a very similar thing. I
yeah.
think that's also Raimi worship, but in a different flavor and like maybe
Mhm.
not quite so cynical. But I also don't know if this is cynical, if it just feels cynical to me.
Yeah,
But like that movie moves at a clip. You never stop. And again, the characters aren't engaging or anything. And like the plot of the movie is basically nothing.
yeah.
I think that is the good version of this.
Yeah, and there's a brand of horror there that isn't anything I want anything to do with, unfortunately. It's just none of those movies tick a single one of my boxes at all. And I think it's a combination of the attitude of the movie, the leading person, and the lack of plot. Just don't fill me with any kind of enjoyment, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I love those early Peter Jackson movies. I think that they're bags of fun.
Yeah, and I'm almost envious of people that really enjoy those movies because you describe it to me on paper, or tell me about that, tell me in the playground about that movie, and I'm like, I gotta fucking see that movie, and then I watch
Yeah,
it, and it's just all off. It just doesn't line up for me.
I like the thing that I think really pitches this movie, Evil Ed and Brain Dead together, is the way that Americanized humor is filtered through a non-American person, and that's how you end up with like the "I kick ass for the Lord" stuff.
Yeah,
Which, like, I mean, it's funny, but is it funny?
no,
Like, but it's funny, but is it like?
no, I just don't think it is. I
I
just
mean,
think it's bad. It feels
I said it a lot when I was 15, so it must have been funny.
yeah. I mean, I would go as far as say we both said a lot of things when we were 15 that we would not say now, and probably wouldn't say. Well, no, it probably was funny. I don't know. It's not the thing that I. If you came out with a big old hors d'oeuvres platter, those are not the hors d'oeuvres that I'm grabbing and wolfing down. It's not
I think like
my choice.
sometimes that flavor hors d'oeuvre is pretty good.
Yeah, and I just think fandom of that is admirable because you're obviously tapping into something that I can't find in my own soul, which is sad.
Yeah,
But I think I just need a little bit more. Not that. I
I
fucking
tell you
hate
what,
that movie.
I know you do. I don't know why, but maybe we'll cover it one day so we can get into like some real understanding of why.
Yeah,
Maybe you'll
maybe.
have a change of heart.
Not likely. I love
Um,
excess. I love explosive gore and crazy effects. It's just got to be. It's got to have a cause. It's got to be for the right cause.
I think there is a cause at play in Brain Dead, but
Mm,
I think way more than here in Evil Ed.
yeah.
A big problem that I have with Evil Ed, and I give it a pass on Sam Campbell, even though I fucking would normally hate that,
Yeah.
is the way that they just sort of carefully place movie posters behind people so you can see them.
Yeah.
And it's like that character, but maybe he would have movie posters behind him, but he wouldn't just have one in the middle of the wall directly in the center of the shot.
Sure. I, the whole movie poster thing, maybe I'm being hard on it. I think it's great in teenagers' bedrooms in movies because we need
Yeah.
to know what they're into. It's a tell for their personality. It's part of the vehicle of the character. It's a thrust for the movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just record labels paying to have their posters in the movies, but they're
Yeah.
appropriate at least for the most part. And when they're not, they're fun and interesting. Here, I just think we get it, dude. We know you like Evil Dead. Okay, the movie's called Evil Ed, and all of the shots are recreating shots from Evil Dead. We get it. Do something more filmic. It's
Yeah.
like say something with your set potentially. I don't know. Maybe I'm asking too much of the movie Evil Ed, but I didn't necessarily need all of that fan servicey type stuff.
No, I think like the character Sam Campbell would have movie posters in his office. He's a movie producer.
Sure.
Like he would have them, but he wouldn't just have one. He wouldn't just be like, "This is my Evil Dead poster on my white wall."
Yeah, welcome to my
Like,
uni bedroom. I can only afford one $5.99 HMV poster,
yeah,
and
it's
it's
Reservoir Dogs.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Besides the Evil Dead 2 poster, there's also a Prince of Darkness poster, a Cherry 2000 poster, The Fly, Critters, Kindred, and then really like left field is the original 1966 like poster. It's super rare of Dracula, Prince of Darkness.
two Prince of Darknesses of different textures. I think the
Yeah,
Prince of Darkness poster is anomalous there.
I think they're all a lot anomalous apart from Evil Dead. If you told me the guy that made this movie has seen 3 movies, he's seen Evil Dead 2, he's seen Critters, and he's seen The Fly, I'd be like, yeah, I believe you.
Yeah, 3 horror movies. Yeah, for sure. Hell of a lot of knockers in this movie.
I think you only see 4 breasts.
Quite graphically depicted memories.
Well, because they're depicted. It's a cakey eaty situation, isn't it? Because it's like they're depicted as like this is cinematic excess, but they're also doing it at the same time.
In cinematic excess. Yeah,
Yeah,
in the name of. Yeah, and I appreciate that. I appreciate all of that. I appreciate all of the cinematic excess to illustrate the excesses of cinematic excess. It's good fun.
yeah,
And I do enjoy the sort of sly digs at censorship, but also the movies that they're editing are so shit. Like, it's hard to fight the fight against censorship when
yeah,
everything that is being censored is so devoid of any value whatsoever.
yeah.
Like,
We should dig into this Loose Limbs series and try to
yeah,
understand what they're about.
yeah. How do you feel about Loose Limbs as a
Well,
series?
what we know about the Loose Limbs series, there's the killer is a doctor at one point. The woman whose foot he hacks off is pretty okay with it for a couple of minutes until she
I,
realizes.
that's the best scene for me, by the way. Apart from
Yeah,
the head explosion at the end, that's the most fun. Like that gets a really good balance of gore and sort of really nasty, grimy horror with hilarious banter and just a ridiculous premise that works really well.
yeah. I mean, at one point he's like approaching a prostitute, and that's that really long scene.
Yeah.
And I think like again, I think it's really funny that he's just like banging his head into her wound.
Yeah. That's
That's
again like stuff like that. It's just fucking hysterical. That's
yeah,
about as far as you can go with this kind of gore in this era. Like,
yeah.
what would this psycho do that would need to be edited out of a movie? He'd fucking headbutt a knife wound. That's great.
So like, what else do we know about what happens in these movies? Well, somebody gets raped by a beaver and shot in the face with a bazooka.
Which sadly we don't get to see.
No, but I don't feel. Do you know when we talked about Hokum and there's the promise of somebody getting their dick stolen,
Yeah,
and we felt a bit shortchanged by that.
yeah.
I don't feel shortchanged by not seeing the beaver rape scene. Maybe the face bazooka, but then we do get to see the guy get his head blown off at the end with a shotgun anyway. So how
True.
what's the difference really?
Yeah, I would like to have seen what they would have done with a beaver. You know, I would like to see the character effects on a beaver in
Yeah.
this movie. What
Well,
their
because
take
the
would be.
fridge gribbly is great.
I hated the fridge gribbly. Sorry,
Really?
it's so wrong. Talk to me. Why do you love it?
Well, I mean, I love it because I think it's stupid and it's a fridge gribbly that says
It's
close
a
the door, you
fribbly.
Nazi, or you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Why is the fridge gribbly calling him a Nazi?
Ex-
I had to rewind it so many times just to figure out that he was saying Nazi. But I was like, what? It's just
yeah, and he
that's
gives
really
him the
funny to me.
finger. Like
Yeah.
this. That's a scene that I don't think I need. It's wearing like a baby, like almost like if you dressed a baby like a clown, is what it's wearing.
Yeah.
There's a lot about that I hate. Like it looks. I think I know why as well. Like Dinosaurs, the TV show.
Yeah.
All the dinosaurs are like goodies, basically. They're all really funny. But this is like a piece of dinosaur's creature design where it's supposed to be evil, and everything about it just looks out of proportion and kind of fucked up and stupid, which I
Yeah.
get is the entire point. And
I
yes, it
think that's the
calls him a
point.
Nazi and flips him off, and it's just a very strange scene out of nowhere. I don't understand why that happens or what the fuck is going on, and it just didn't really work for me.
Well, I think what happens and why it happens is the guy who does the effects was like, I can make a gribbly. We
I
can put
can
it in the
whip up a
fridge.
gribbly, yeah.
Yeah. And
Like
like,
when, yeah, in Red Dwarf, where they used to just use other people's stuff, where they,
yeah.
they'd be like, "Oh, this got used for like 2 seconds in a Doctor Who. Let's fucking nick it, not tell them." Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe it's some of that.
And I think the reason that it's fucking gigantic for no reason
Yeah,
is because that like in order to build animatronics and puppets, they have
Mm,
to have loads of moving parts. And if you have to do it on the cheap, you probably can't make those parts small. So you have to make
true.
it massive. It's why Munchie in the movie Munchie is massive.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if you told me that they had to build a giant fridge and put a full size man in a costume to achieve that. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I get it. The whole way through Evil Dead, we're seeing stuff that they kind of figured out on the spot. They could do this, they could do that, they could tweak this, they could adjust that. But they had a singularity and purity of vision that meant it cohered. That's
Yeah.
lacking here. That's just a fucking dinosaur in a fridge.
Like I know that we're never gonna like actually cover Evil Dead. So do you think that that was fluke?
No. Well, no. The atmosphere of Evil Dead is too perfect to be an accident. And if you're you're a horror fan, maybe you've read all the books and you've done your research. There was a lot done to make that movie feel the way it feels.
Yeah.
Um, and visually, I think Sam Raimi knew exactly what he was shooting. There's some luck involved. Some shit
Yeah.
landed in the right place.
I just
But
think about Crime Wave and like how
yeah,
insanely overblown and like badly edited and badly written and like it's shot well and it looks fun
yeah,
and people are obviously having fun and characters people are giving the correct performances for their characters and for that movie. But
sure.
like if Sam Raimi had made Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2 and then Crime Wave and they were like and people were like, well, we're never going to let him make another movie again, I would be
Mm.
like, yeah, I get it, I understand.
Yeah, Boondock Saints. Yeah, there's not
Literally.
like there's. I don't think there's anything accidental about that. There might be some luck, but it's luck that's luck isn't like a force. It's
Yeah.
derived of effort, and it's contrived out of near misses, or lots of different elements have to collide for artistic luck to occur. And I think there's so much of that in the Evil Dead franchise that it is born of great intentions, true artistic vision,
Mm,
incredible writing, and tremendous levels of cinematic filmmaking technique with really limited resources. And if you
yeah.
just have one of those things, you don't get Evil Dead. If you just have limited resources, 9 times out of 10, you just get a shit film. If you just have, a genius script, but you don't have the magic combination of the right cabin, the right actors, the right atmosphere among the cast, the fucking do or die, these are my friends vibe on set, You don't get that movie, and that's what's
Yeah.
lacking in movies like this is that magic isn't really there, and it is an unfair comparison. These are not movies that are even in the same ballpark as far as I'm concerned. But Evil Ed gives us a really entertaining section of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's some great ideas, really well executed, and there's some absolutely hilarious set piece moments. But
Like
it's too sticker book for me to really enjoy.
it is an unfair comparison, but like they did it to themselves.
Sorry, I just nearly choked. Yeah, they really did. Yeah, you're absolutely right. They have kind of invited the comparison somewhat, you might say. So actually, yeah, fuck them. They asked for it. This isn't Evil Dead.
It's not.
It's eviled.
Do you reckon they were like the guy was, I don't know, writing on his school backpack in Tipex like, I love Evil Dead ED. Hey, ED, that's a name, and that's also short for editor.
Could
Maybe we
be.
can.
Maybe you just spelled it wrong.
One thing that I'll say about Evil Ed is that they didn't just try and make a Cabin in the Woods movie. Yeah, he's in a house,
Yeah, true.
but like they didn't just take that part of Evil Dead and be like, well, we can do this.
Do you think there's a Kingian edge to the storytelling in Evil Ed? Does it feel like there's a Stephen King influence, whether it's overt or maybe slightly more subtle? I got some fairly big, cokey Stephen King vibes at times.
I think that there are no conscious homages to Stephen King.
Yeah,
Only
no, like direct
because
references. Yeah,
only because if there was like if they were consciously trying to reference Stephen King, we would have seen a huge stack of Stephen King books or
Yeah.
something. Like
it would have been on the nose.
it would have been on the nose. It might have been on the nose over here and then not on the nose over there, but you can't have one without the other in this movie.
Yeah, true. In terms of praise for the movie, when you said you thought it was really well shot, I sort of balked at that a little bit because I thought, what the fuck are you talking about? It looks like complete shit. But only in parts.
Yeah.
There's the whole end sequence in the hospital, I think, looks pretty cool. The color palette's fun, the lighting's decent.
That's what I mean, really. Like
yeah, they choose some really cool angles and stuff. There are some scenes around the sort of half an hour mark with the really ghostly grey blue pallor that work really well. I think obviously like Fridge Gribbly looks like total fucking ass.
Yeah, so like the Fridge Gribbly, I think is cool. Like I just like that it's there, and I love a Gribbly. So like whatever. It's
Sure.
actually called Fridge Fritz in the credits. So you know,
Fritz.
yeah. Which is weird because it's like close the door, you Nazi.
Yeah.
But he's Fritz. Whatever.
Fridge Fritz the Fribbly.
But they just sort of shoot it wrong. And we had this
Yeah,
conversation when
agreed.
we talked about when we talked about Night of the Living Dead, the Savini remake. But
Yeah.
Savini should know better. This guy maybe not so much.
Right.
But they just sort of they shoot it wrong. They make it look bad by the way that they position the camera and the way that the angle is, and it's just not right or good.
It's not right or good. I think it gets chronologically better. I think it starts so rough, and then the end is the best stuff. Chronological improvements to both the visuals and the storytelling. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like the resolution is fun, and
But
I think
then like you get those army guys at the end, and they suck.
true. What is it with like army guys in movies? Either make or break the shit that's on screen at the time, right? If you get these fake looking, completely limp, totally unconvincing service personnel show up, it just puts you back to like fucking playing with your friends when you're 9 years old levels
Yeah.
of convincing. Whereas if you get like commando style
Yeah.
army guys show up, it elevates everything, raises the stakes, brings the action up a notch.
These guys didn't even say hup.
No
They
hupping.
weren't they weren't going hup 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 hup. Like
Exactly.
why would you not? I mean, all special forces guys say hup
And
all
also,
the time.
Why are you there? Fucking
Well, they've come to
Another
get the
question.
guy who's killing everybody.
special
or whatever.
forces. What the fuck?
But I think all of the prosthetics look amazing.
Agreed. Yep. Especially at the end when he's just getting his, like, gets his arm blown off.
Oh, it's incredible.
The top of his head being blown off is absolutely superb.
Yeah. And
The,
like the
the
scene where even quite early on, which I think is too subtle for this movie, and
mm,
also too subtle for what the descent into madness is going to be, and it's cool, and that's why it exists, and I respect it. But like, if it
mm,
wasn't there and the 15 minutes around it also weren't there, this movie would be better. But when he's cutting the bread and he
yeah,
looks down and it's an arm,
yeah,
that fucking rules.
yeah. That's really good.
It doesn't belong in this movie because it's too cool and subtle.
Yeah,
Either like it should be spraying blood in his face and giving him the finger, or it should be completely cut out. Do you know what I mean? Like that's
agreed.
tonally it's wrong for the movie, but it rules as a moment.
Definitely. If his descent into madness was going to be of that flavor, you've got more of an
Yeah,
more of a movie on your hands, like a
that's an actual
slow,
movie. Yeah,
yeah, a guy who's been driven insane by endless reams of graphic imagery is going to start losing it in that way, in my opinion, not hallucinating these gribblies or whatever. But
no,
yeah, we don't get that, unfortunately. We get to dabble with it, and that's fun. That the flirtation with that kind of insanity is rewarding, and that's a really enjoyable scene. But like you said, pick a lane, Edward.
yeah. And then like there's that scene with the guy they call, is it necro face, bondage face, something like that. That's like
Yeah,
the kind of pinhead sort of character.
yeah.
And so before today, I'd only ever watched this on VHS.
Okay,
And I always thought that that character was the guy from the beginning.
right.
And so I thought that they were sort of trying to hint at maybe something supernatural or ethereal or something overarching about the whole concept of these movies, that like they don't just drive you insane, but they're like they're malevolent, and so that's why he knew about this other guy who he'd never met or whatever.
Yeah,
And but they just were just different guys.
yeah. Bondage face. He plays him and the medic. It's the same
Yeah.
guy. You know, that's it.
So like, but yeah, I totally thought it was the guy from the beginning because
Yeah.
that's what it like. I think the reason why this movie has held up, not
Mm.
to get into my sum up too early, but I think the reason why this movie has held up to scrutiny for the past 30 years at this point is it's the Lost effect. It's you self edit all the bad stuff out of your nostalgia brain, and you only remember the cool shit or even the
Right.
shit that you invented
Yeah.
that make this movie better. And that's why people, I think, like this. And I guess like obviously Arrow did a release of it, and Arrow are a well respected boutique Blu-ray label, and they do some great stuff, and they treat movies really well.
Yeah.
And so this being, I think it was quite an early Arrow release when they released it on DVD.
Mm.
So I think maybe it being so early in the Arrow canon also helped give it a second or third or whatever life. But I think the real thing is that people are editing out all of the boring shit in their brain.
Yeah, because I think this movie would work really well as a sort of spliced down hits reel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really quotable moments. It's the kind of movie that you would quote with your buds. It does have really hilarious dialogue at times.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the gore moments are great. There's something attractively incongruous about like the gribbly out of context. Funny,
Yeah.
but in the context of the movie for me, it was just kind of boring, which is weird.
Yeah.
If you showed it to me like as part of a, look at this fucked up movie montage of crazy shit from one movie, I'd be on the floor. So
Yeah, I think this is the perfect Halloween party movie because
quite possibly,
you can throw it on the TV or project it against a wall or whatever. No one's going to get sucked in and distracted by it, but every now and then you'll glance over and something fucking cool will be happening.
I think that's very true. Yeah, it's like one of those fucking picture frames that your parents have that's like digital and it scrolls through pictures of your family.
It's exactly like that in every single way.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's take a break, Sam. We'll come back and we'll give our final thoughts and scores. How about that?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Will you give it up, man? Nobody's out there. We're alone. Oh no, there's somebody out there. I'm picking up all this crosstalk.
Okay, Sam. Let's finish her off. Let's get
a grip on yourself, man.
let's paging Dr. West. Why?
Why?
Like, we don't
Rest
need
in
that.
pieces, motherfucker.
That's fine.
It's better. I
Yeah.
do love Don't Thank Me, Thank Science.
Yeah, that's good.
Don't know why.
Close the door, you Nazi, or you're gonna die. It's great.
Yeah, there's moments in the dialogue there where I think like this is someone writing this and giggling, which is my favorite kind of humor.
Yeah. It's molesting time.
Too good. Too good.
Yeah, I feel like that's getting sampled and put before every song on the next Sam Russo record.
God, it's molesting time. That is some top shelf dialogue right there.
That
might nudge it up a whole point in my rating.
It's funny, isn't it? Because it's like they do this thing really adeptly sometimes where they're sort of mocking the excess of these horror movies, these specific type of like cheap gore movies, and then other times they're just boring.
Yeah, and also we need to, as journalists, Jamie, we need to speak truth to power. They had 5 years to hone this script.
Yeah.
Not good enough. I'm sorry. Give me 5 years to write a comedy horror script, and I could probably write you something with a zinger every 10 minutes easily. This doesn't deliver that.
Give me 5 years to write a horror script. I will give you a script that I wrote the night before it was due.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. Give Jamie Crothers 5 years to write your horror script, and you'll get 6 unfinished horror scripts.
Yeah. You'll get 5 really strong ideas that don't go anywhere.
Yep. I'm not saying I could do any better. I'm just saying if you're a movie maker and you've got 5 years to write a funny script, 3 zingers isn't quite enough.
No. I think there are more than 3 zingers, and I also think that It's Molesting Time. I don't think that was in the script. I think they caught Bill Moseley on his way to the bathroom.
Yeah, it's just a boom mic that was hanging around Bill Moseley at the catering table.
It's just, but yeah, I think they do have some good ideas, and there are some good zingers, and there are some zingers that are good in the moment that weren't good enough for me to write down.
Yeah.
And overall, I had a pretty good time. But when I paused it at 30 minutes, 35 minutes, I was like, how is there over an hour left?
It's not often we share that experience. I'm so glad you were there with me this time.
There's like I've watched a whole movie in the first half an hour.
Yeah.
And like the first half hour doesn't feel particularly slow.
No.
So like, but it must be in order for me to feel like I should be ready to climax at the 35-minute point.
It only feels slow because it doesn't feel like it's got anywhere to go.
Yeah.
Like it feels like you're doing one of those mazes that you do with a pencil in the fucking dentist waiting room, and you're like, well, fuck me, there's nowhere to go from here, and then you move your hand and it's like, oh, it's a double pager and you're fucked. But yeah, I mean, a lot of good movies have that happen and resolve it with, clever plot points, big twists, major tonal shifts. This movie doesn't do that, unfortunately, and it does plod for quite a while.
Like character development that is actual character development rather than just like telling us things about the character in the hopes that we somehow care about them. And then
like
be
a game of Guess Who gone wrong.
Yeah, like telling us about the character, referencing that he's got a wife and a daughter, and then not doing anything with that for the next 45 minutes, and then have her rock up.
Yeah.
In order for him to kill her or whatever. Like it's the one thing that you could never describe Sam Raimi as is lazy.
Oh, you fucking A right.
So like,
Or sloppy.
yeah, and I think the issue here is that there are some lazy, sloppy decisions being made, and
Yeah.
they might be being made not out of a position of laziness, out of a position of like bluster or confidence, unearned confidence.
Stolen valor.
Stolen valor. There you go. That's the title of this
Evil
episode.
Ed is an exercise in sloppy stolen valor.
That feels really mean, but you're
It
not
does.
wrong.
It does. But like you said, until you told me that, until you kind of reminded me, I guess, that they brought this on themselves,
They did.
I
They
wouldn't have
did
been
bring up.
so mean. If you're going to invite that comparison, it's like me standing up and being like, check me out. I'm just like Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah.
You're inviting a certain level of scathing critique at that point.
All right. In terms of a score, Sam, I'm going to give this 6.5 chunks of meat lost in Brainland out of 12.
All right, a little bit over halfway.
It's what it deserves. The good stuff is good. There are some strong ideas. There are some strong visuals. There's some really good stuff. There's like a filmmaker in here that just needs an actual editor, which again is ironic for this film about an editor who goes insane because he watches too many gore movies.
Sure.
This is when the real story of this movie is it's about a director that goes insane out of sheer hubris when he looks at his own work and realizes that none of it is expendable
Yeah.
to him, and
Yeah.
that's the problem. But you know, it's got some Eurodance on the soundtrack. There's a moment where it plays like a lullaby while he's punching someone in the head to sleep. Like this movie has jokes on jokes, and I think it's great. The weird Swedish Rage Against the Machine song, I loved that. I was like, yeah,
Placement. So bizarre.
really funny. Just
Yeah.
like because like they're trying to do America and they're trying to think like Americans, but they're not Americans, so they just don't really get it right.
Yeah. When it comes to good old Evil Ed, I'm going to give it 4.5 bazookas to the head out of 9. Not in a bad way, I'm going to say, because like you, I really enjoyed the comedy. I very much respect the swing, and I like the fact that this has a place as a viewing experience where, yeah, it's potentially more of a party movie. It's a little bit more background, if I dare say, and it does some really great stuff in the final third that I found to be really fun in terms of being a horror movie. But I just don't think it's maybe to my taste front to back. I don't think it's aged particularly well, and if I'm left a little bit unclear as to what the point of the movie is, then maybe I can't rate it particularly highly. But this fucking movie has an Arrow release, so maybe I'm missing something. Is my main take home.
I don't think you are. I think that like this movie has plenty going for it, but also, I mean, it's the movie that it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, as horror fans, I think we forgive a lot.
Yeah.
And some horror fans or some fans of this movie forgive more than we do.
Yeah, I think it's another one of those vibe movies that I think a lot of people will associate with a specific viewing experience.
Yeah.
That I'm not saying it's nostalgic because that feels patronizing, but like it has a specific place in a lot of people's catalog of movies. The way in which they enjoy it is as important as the quality of the movie, maybe more so. And I don't have that relationship with it, so I don't have the same kind of reverence. But I do enjoy an enormous amount of the comedy, and the sort of sarcasm is really fun to me. So
Yeah,
it's
well,
that's where it lives.
I do have that sort of relationship with this, and even so, this watch I found very difficult.
Yeah.
And like I say, the first 20 minutes I'm having a great time. The last 20 minutes I'm having a great time. There's an hour in between those 20 minutes. Like,
it's a long hour.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Some rough hangs in there.
But like I say, the stuff that they do well is great.
Yep.
I think maybe they should have made a short film.
Which they did. Maybe they should have stopped. But that's Evil Ed.
Yeah.
Like it, lump it, love it, or dump it. Evil Ed is here to stay.
Yeah.
You know, I would watch the Evil Ed remake, the All-American Evil Ed remake with Stephen Tobolowsky as Ed.
I think Tobolowsky's he's aged out. He's aged out of Ed.
True. He was born in 1951.
Yeah. I think he's older than the guy that plays Ed.
Yeah. I don't fucking care. That's the only way I'm getting it. That's the only way I'm watching it.
But like, there's a bunch of other movies that are this movie that you could watch instead. You could watch Barbarian Sound System. You could watch The Censor. These are all movies about people being exposed to horror movies, having to slowly going insane, and they're better movies than this.
My favorite thing is that you could just be making these movies up, and I wouldn't know better. You could be like, you could watch Toaster in a Hailstorm. You could watch Cheese Bagel Holocaust. You could watch.
I would watch Cheese Bagel Holocaust.
I bet you will next week.
Yeah. So Sam, if you were out there in podcast land and you wanted to support the Final Transmission podcast, we already mentioned that you could go to patreon.com/Final Transmission and pay your $5 a month there to get uncut, unedited video and audio versions of the podcast, including this episode and many, many others like it. We've already talked about that. So you knew that already. But you could also go to your social media platform of choice and follow at FT Horror Show.
Yep.
You could make sure you're subscribed to wherever you're listening to this. Make sure you leave a review or a comment or whatever you want, just something so we know that you're there.
It's just good housekeeping to follow a podcast that you regularly listen to, people. Just do that. Make your own life easier. Set up those alerts, those automatic downloads. Just fucking get your shit together.
Exactly. You can follow Sam at his personal social media at Sam Russo Music, where you can see tour dates, things like that coming up, pictures of his cats. You can no longer see him throw a tea bag into a mug, sadly, but you can see it on his personal Patreon, which I'm not plugging here because our Patreon is more important. And you can follow me on my Instagram at Carruthers with a Z, at Letterboxd at JamieFT. You can go to the Final Transmission website, which is final-transmission at neocities.org.
Hell yeah.
Maybe it'll be a real website at some point.
It is now.
So we've successfully mugged Miggy Month. How do you feel about that?
We smashed it. Thank you to our friend Miguel Chen for putting these movies forward for us to talk about. I had a blast watching all of them. Some of them were challenging. Some of them were hilarious. Some of them were genuinely scary. All of them were, in one way or another, a rewarding watch. And we hope that you enjoyed taking this wild ride into the mind of Miguel Chen, Laramie, Wyoming's finest. Big up, Miggy.
So we'll see you next week for yet another Final Transmission. Say goodbye, Sam.
Goodbye, Sam.
Goodbye, everybody.